Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it. You already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate all the support, man. I'm very humbled. Thank you. So I get asked a lot of questions. And one of the questions I was asked is, what about the others? What about the Asians? What about the Usos? Have you ever seen them put it down? Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Hey, shout out to all my Soles out there, my Usos, and shout out to all my Asian brothers out there, man. Let me tell you, man, I got a lot of respect, a lot of love for the Asian car. Of course, the other car, Asians, Polynesians, Usos, Guamani, from Guam, Chamorros, the islands, not the island boys, but the islands, right? Brother, what's up? What's up, brother? Right? I got respect for them, and I've done a lot of time around them. Now, let me explain to you guys about that particular car, why you don't mess with them in the California prison system, and why they are probably the most respectful, easiest to get along with group, and how people think just because they are who they are, they have it made in the California prison system, but politics deem otherwise, right? So, my interaction with Usos and Asians has always been on a positive note. I've never had no bad mix up with Asians and Usos because I like to keep my head on my shoulders. I don't like to, hey, it will kind of get you in the boo boo if you don't. You know, Usos are the nicest, most respectful people. All Polynesians are. All people from the islands will give you the shirt off their back, the hat off their head. They're just the coolest people. But at the same time, in the meantime, in between time, they'll tear your whole shoulder bone, your whole shoulder blade out the bone, straight up, right? Or off the bone. They're not playing. You do never want to get on the bad side of a Uso because get iffy. Oof, oof. They're going to fucking eat you straight up. You know what I'm saying? Tongans, hey, you or horse meat. And I'm going to tell you right now, everything's delectable. I know. So they're not playing, right? Asians are some of the quietest, most respectful people, and they wiggle in the California prison system. See, that's the only group in the system because of their politics. They get along or can do interactions and business with every group. Whites, the natives, the paisas, the Southsiders, as well as the Norteños, right? And all brothers, man. In fact, a lot of the Usos got a lot of respect and a lot of love. You'll see them fraternizing and interacting with a lot of the brothers, man, because a lot of the Usos, their gangs on the streets happen to be black gangs. They're from a black gang, a black blood gang or Crip gang. So, man, they easily identify with the brothers. They got a lot of flavor, man, a lot of swag. It just is what it is, right? A lot of respect there between the brothers and the Usos. But when Usos get incarcerated, they fall in line with the Asians and vice versa. The Asians fall in line with them and they create a car which is called the other car. Now, it's just not Polynesians and Asians. There's also people. I met a dude that was in the other car from Iran. There was some dudes that are Arabic, dudes that are Puerto Rican, dudes that are Dominican. It's just guys that don't really identify with the gangs or the politics in prison. They kind of go to the other car, but that doesn't mean they're easily accepted. The others do have their politics within their own people, and they don't just accept anyone. Just because you don't want to be in the mix don't mean that you could be another, right? Now, people ask me, do they have a lot? Is there a lot that goes on conflict with other groups? Usually if there is, and it's very minimal, but if there is conflict between the Usos, the Asians, and other group factions, it's all over business deals gone wrong. You know, it's because here's the thing, and let me explain a little something to you about the racial divide and politics in the California prison system. They're there for good reason. Okay, I know being anytime you say the word racial, you think it's all bad, and it is, right? But at some points, especially in the California prison system, I can't speak for other systems because I know there's less racial tension and less lines drawn in the sand. But in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations, right, what you have is different groups that want that divide because the less interaction you have with another group, the less bumping of heads, the less discrepancies, the less drama, right? If you're not doing business with another group, then you're not giving your group no action to get burnt or to burn them or to cause chaos, because the last thing anyone wants in the California system is it to go down. Nobody wants the yard to be laid down, because you're going to be sacrificing your canteen, your privileges, your incentives, your visits, your family visits, and nobody wants to lose those. Now, if the yard must go down, then the fucking yard must go down. That's just the way it is in the California system. And anything can pop off at any given time, especially when you get into the higher levels like the 3s and the 4s. But everyone knows enough, every group, that the less interaction is probably the best interaction, because there's always going to be someone in your car, someone in your group that doesn't know how to fucking act, isn't fucking abreasted or gamed up, seasoned as others are. And so their level of respect might not be the same as yours, and other groups might take it as disrespect. It's funny, in the California prison system, everything can be misconstrued or taken as disrespect. As far as a mean mug, a shoulder shrug, a toe tap, whatever it is, if someone from another group don't like it, that can cause a big conflict that could actually get the whole yard laid down throughout that yard and the whole system, the prison, and can continue on throughout the system. So everyone tries to be on their P's and Q's, dot their I's, cross their T's, and stay legit. Now, the other group, they wiggle different. The Usos and the Asians, and look, let's just be real. Everyone's going to support an Uso and show love because they're big motherfuckers, right? And they'll oof on your ass, and everyone knows. So that fear is instilled in people. It's not necessarily it's a feel, but it's a knowing. Okay, you're knowing that this dude will probably fucking hit you with a hammer fist. So in knowing that, you don't want to upset a Polynesian person. You don't want to upset a Chamorro. You don't want to upset an Uso, a Tongan, because at the end of the day, their fist is bigger than your head, and one doesn't equal two. Right now with the Asians, they're so smooth and cool, and they're always on their hustle and grind in prison. You can't do nothing but like them and respect them. They'll put it down for their people. They hang with their own people. They're never in too much drama. They're never going out of their way. A lot of the other cars, the drama that you're going to see, and they do have it, is self-inflicted. It's all within. Isn't that every group in the California prison system? Everyone thinks, that's never been to the prison system, that there's these riots between different races and groups and all that. That's far from the truth. It happens, but it happens in variations. It happens every great once in a blue moon. And believe it or not, the two groups that I've ever seen go at it the most, it's going to kind of blow your mind. Those that always say, oh, the Southerners in this group, man, they work hand in hand, is the Southerners and the whites. Why? For the same reason I just told you, man. They have a lot of interaction, being that they program on the same side of the yard, being that they do business and they conduct business together, being that there's a loose alliance there, there's going to be issues. If a white man comes in, he's not up to par, the Southsiders are going to feel some particular type of way. If a Southsider comes in, the whites are going to be looking like, what you guys going to do, brother? Right? It's just how that is. So you'll see a lot of issues pop off between Southerners and whites on the mainline GP yards. Maybe not necessarily now with the end of hostilities, but that's how it used to be. That's just my point of view. My point of view could be different from other people's point of view. Just telling you what I've seen. Now, back to the others, right? I got nothing but respect for them. Every interaction I've ever done, any business deal, I remember I used to slang Pruno, right? There's a homeboy that got in the other day. He was like, man, I remember, bro, you guys had the fire-ass Pruno on the block. We did. Well, there was this particular Uso that liked to sip wine, right? That was his thing. He told me, hey, Sully, come here, right? Hey, yo, this is how he talked. Hey, I'm going to buy, and he had that little accent, I'm going to buy all the wine that you can make, Sully. Right? I was like, all right, cool, I can make a lot of it. I'm going to buy a lot of it. I said, okay, well, I'm going to need 20 a gallon. That's right off the top. Or one of those pitchers, I'm going to need 20 a pitcher. And I'll take that in deodorants and sopitas. You don't want coffee? No, I don't drink coffee. Marcelli does, but at this point in time, we're coffeeed out the game. We got about 20 things of Folgers, right? Everyone knows, man, when you're locked up, hey, even if you don't drink coffee, you got coffee. You stay on coffee because coffee is money, right? You make little clavos, you can go out there selling for $5 on the drought season. Like, for reals. During lockdown, you got to have the fucking shots of coffee. You know what a shot is? It's a pelota, like right there. You slide, it fits under the door, says, "Gay," and the woods are like, brother, right? I know you're a Norteño, but you got a shot of coffee, right? So that's just how that is. So he wanted all the wine, right? And this is where it almost went down. What happened was he had good credit. Like, his money always landed. His lady took care of him. Man, I ain't gonna lie. I went to Visita one time. His lady was the biggest Uso in there. Like, she was no joke. She instilled fear in all the other visitors. Even the seal was like, ma'am, do you need anything? She was like, food, oof, right? And straight up. So his money always landed. So one time he comes at me and he's like, hey, bro, you got the new batch. I said, yeah, Sole, that's brother, right? And Uso, I said, yeah, brother, what's up? He's like, man, I'm gonna need two gallons. I was like, he's like, me and my brothers, we're gonna party, right? It was one of the Asian dude's birthday, and so they were gonna throw a little party for him. And so the batch has to be ready on time. Like in prison, when the batch is done, that's when the party begins. It doesn't matter if it's on a Wednesday or Tuesday or Friday. Like when the batch is ready, you want to sip. So he's like, you think you'll have a batch done by Wednesday? And it was like Monday. And I said, bro, it usually takes about 3 days, but let me see what I could do. He said, come on, make a big one, brother. Come on, brother. I pay you extra. So I did. I met the deadline. I hooked him up. He was like, I got you on Canteen. Canteen came and went, right? Now, I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're Hercules, a Transformer, Sasuke, whatever the fuck you are, and I'm not talking about Transformers the way you're thinking about them. I'm talking about Optimus Prime, right? It's hard to go ask an Uso for your money, but as a man, you must do what you have to do, right? And beings that we programmed on the same side of the yard. So let me tell you the DNA and the makeup. That prison yard is going to be the Usos and Asians, the other car, whoever else is in that group. The Bloods, the Crips, the Kumis, the Jamas, the you know what I'm saying, the brothers from another mother, the Muslims, the brothers that are they don't claim, right? And then Northerners. That's on the yard. On the other side, it's going to be natives, paisas, South, and white. That's it. It doesn't vary. There's no variations. It doesn't change. Every prison yard, that's the makeup on a general population. On a SNY or 50-50, it's every man for himself. You know what I'm saying? You can see dudes over there getting fucked behind a handball court. I don't know. I'm just telling you, right? That's that. So, anyways, I'm like, damn, I told the homeboy, you know what I'm saying? You got to get the homeboys involved. Like, damn, bro, this Uso owes me money. He's usually good, but he didn't pay me. He said, go hit him up, bro. Maybe something happened. So I said, all right, right? So I mobbed over there. He was playing dominoes. He see me. He's like, what's up, Sole? I said, yeah, he's sipping on wine right there, too. Someone else's batch. I'm right on the yard, right? I'm like, let me get at you, bro. Can I get at you? Right? He was like, yeah, what's up? You can say it in front of my brothers, right? The Asians had their own table, and they're playing, doing their thing. And I'm getting called a bunch of Mao Lao, Mo days, and Macaos, right? But as I move up, I'm like, hey, and you don't want to have your hands in your pockets or anything because the Musos, man, they'll tear your arms off, the shoulder bone, right? So I'm like, hey, bro, what's up with that canteen? He's like, oh, you're going to have to wait, Us. My rent, something came up with my rent. You're going to have to wait, Us. I was like, see, that ain't the way it works out in prison. In prison, you shouldn't have to wait. Now, you could do that out of respect. And because his shoulders were bigger than my head, I was going to at that particular point, but I didn't want to, right? But I'm like, all right, bro. So you got me next canteen? Maybe Us. I don't know. It depends on my lady. Well, hold up now. But that's going on 2 canteens, bro. I can't do that, right? We're going to have to make some power moves wearing motherfucking Warachi shoes, right? What's going on here? So I was like, let me get at him solo. He's in my building. I'll get at him aside from his homeboys because he's trying to save face in front of his homeboys. My homeboys are looking at me like stupid ass. And I feel some type of way. I'm going to end up getting whacked out of this. I already know. So he was like 4 doors down from me on top tier and second tier. And I'm like, hey, bro, you got me? He was like, nah, I got you. So I can give you something off the shelf right now. I was like, yeah, bro, let me get some. Everyone's looking at me. He's like, I got you. You've hooked me up a few things. Anyways, 2 canteens later, it came. But the homeboys were starting to press me like, hey, bro, that fool's going to burn you or what? And I was making wine with another homie. So he was like, damn, bro, where's my issues? So I broke him off that shit. And it came to the point where I thought I was going to get beat up by Uso. Not I was going to beat the Uso. I was either going to stab him or he was going to beat me up. Probably both of those things were going to go down. Because I seen an Uso get stabbed and the knife bent on him. It just bent. He just flicked it and beat the guy up. Okay, so that was my only interaction with a Us where it was like, ooh, wee, right? It could be bad. And then, of course, I've told you guys on the collective clip stories about the homeboy Lion, who I ain't going to lie, man. I used to be in that cell like, man, I fucking wish this motherfucker would leave. Kill him. He was wild, right? He was crazy. But, man, I got a lot of love for the Lion. Rest in peace. So now another question that was asked is, do they get in conflict with everybody? Like I said, if it's a business deal gone wrong, then it goes down. That's every group. But what you see a lot is a lot of internal conflict, meaning a lot of politicking within their own on the other car, the Asians and the Usos, right? And I'm going to explain to you why. When an Asian gets locked up, most of them, unless they're a Northerner or a Southerner, and it's crazy because it's always, look, before, let me get throw a side note. It's always different if there's an Asian or a Polynesian that's a Northerner or a Southerner, right? Because nobody on the yard is going to question Northern politics that ain't a Northerner. No one's going to question Southern politics that ain't a Southerner. Whites as well, blacks as well. Like, no one's going to get in anyone else's mix. That's why it's funny to me when I see YouTube and people are like, paperwork. Bro, you're not even who. This is the streets, first of all, but you would never have done that in prison. You never asked another group for their paperwork and all that. What does it have to do with you? That's not even your group. Worry about your own people. They're all bad too. Stop it, right? So what happens is with North and South, if you have a Polynesian Northerner or Southerner or Asian Northerner, South, which is very few, right? No one's going to question them. If they choose to ride with the North and South, that's how they choose to ride. But if they're going to ride with the other car, they need to leave the old idealisms to the past, the old gang. And what you have is you have Usos, Tongans, Polynesians, and Asians that are part of Crip or blood gangs on the streets, right? Now, that's where some conflict comes into them because usually those guys function with the brothers, right? And so that means, man, you need to, as an Asian or Uso, you could still be about your hood and everything, man, but they leave that crippin' and that blood in and that whatever, North and South or whatever they are to the past. Once they get locked up, they are just now Asians with the other car. They are now Polynesians with their Usos, right? They're more family oriented, where other groups are still about their barrio and they're for a bigger entity and they work under a bigger organization or whatever, North and South and whites and all that. And the blacks, man, they're more into gang related. They're all about their hoods, the Crips, the Bloods, you know what I'm saying? Pyru. That's how they rock. The Asians are different. The Usos are different. It's all family for them. So when they get there, you know what I mean? I've seen two different things. Well, I've seen a lot of different conflict within their car. And the reason is because some of them don't want to leave the Crippin' and blood into the past. So they can't serve two masters. You can't do that. You know, and I seen one dude, man, he was a Tongan Crip. And he went in there and he's like, I'm Tongan Crip no matter what. And the other Tongans there and the Usos were tripping like, hey, bro. And he was like, we don't fuck with you guys anyways. And it ended up being a reason where he got stomped out and removed off the yard because they weren't playing that. Now, that doesn't mean it happens all the time. That's just what I witnessed, right? Also, I've seen other situations, man, with the Asians where the Asians, you know what I'm saying, will do the same thing to their people. Like, you're Asian, you're part of us, or you're not, right? And so what had happened was this one Asian dude comes in and he's a Southsider, right? Or he was a Southerner in the county jail. He was functioning as a Southsider. He was doing his thing. The Asians were just doing their thing. Well, he gets onto the yard and he gets into reception and he decides, I guess, I was only on the general population yard with him. I wasn't on the reception. But the word on the curb was when he got to reception, he decided, hey, I'm done being a Southerner. I was that in county. I was that on the streets as part of the Southsider gang, right? He's actually from Avadu. I'm not going to speak on their hood, but he was from there, right? And he decided, hey, I'm going to go with my peoples. See, they get the options. See, North and South don't get the option to go paisa. That doesn't happen. In fact, if you do that, you're going to be looked, and you got treses on you or catorces or ishpo or campo or any of that on you, and you go to the try to play a paisa, they're going to look at it like you're trying to play the system, Holmes. You're trying to cheat. You know, the paisas don't want nothing to do with you because they're no, Mr. George, right? Fuck you, right? That's how the paisas are going to be. And respect to them for that. They hold it down for that. They don't want someone in there stirring up controversy and conflict where ultimately they're going to have to get rid of you or they're going to get jumped on. I get it, man. You know, I hate dudes that try to fly undercover and, oh, man, yo soy paisa. No, you're not, bro. You got a big old huelga bird on your back. Stop it, right? I know dudes from my neighborhood that actually did that, bro, and he got fucked up for doing that. But this Asian dude came in and he just put that to the past. AK, I'm gonna run with my peoples. Well, there was two dudes from his neighborhood on that yard. And that's their homeboys. So he would walk the track, chop it up with them all the time, laughing and everything. And the Asians were like, and at that time, the Southerners were going to get in it. The Southerners and Northerners, there was tension, right? Lightweight tension. And the others were like, hey, bro, we don't want nothing to do with that. That's none of our business. You need to stay away from them dudes because they can get whacked or they can get off and people are going to think you are because he's still dressed like a Southside. He had his pants creased up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Southsiders look different, but they do. Let's just be honest. His head was bald. Like he had certain tattoos on him from his neighborhood. Like if I didn't know better, I thought he was a Southerner. I didn't even know. I was confused. Why is this Southsider on our side of the yard? The homeboy told me because I was ready to get off with the homeboys. Me and the young homeboy were ready to get off because sometimes someone comes to your side of the yard and they're not supposed to be there. You know, man, you're stepping into no man's land. And also I was ready to do what I had to do. But then the homeboy's like, nah, he's rolls with the Asians. So I was discombobulated on that. He was too. Enough so that the Asian kept telling him, hey, stay away. He didn't want, he said, this is a homeboys from my neighborhood, man. I'm going to talk to whoever I want. Man, Asians got on his helmet. They was in that motherfucker like, yeah, right? They was fucking, they was getting it, right? I said, damn, hey, one thing about Asians, they're quiet, they're respectful until they're not. And when they're not, bro, they do it smooth. Boom. So for those that are wondering about the car, most of the conflict that you're going to have on the other car is going to be internal. Okay. It's going to be all inclusive. They are going to figure out who has the right to stay there with them and who doesn't. As far as other groups, they're the one group that I used to look at like, damn, man, back in the day, this is what crossed my mind. Man, I was stupid for getting involved in gangbanging and all that because now I'm in a box. Now I can only be with this certain gente, and whatever we're getting told to do has to happen. And my own people are looking at everyone like, who's going to get stabbed next? And it was just all bad. And I see the others over there fucking playing dice and cards and laughing and eating spreads on the yard. I was like, man, bro. And then I see a Uso sock another one and hit him so hard his fucking skin peels off his nose. And then I said, well, nope. The north is where I need to be. All right. Anyways, with that being said, I hope that answered your question. Why you don't mess with that group? Because they ain't no suckers or punks, man. They're about the business, but they are actually the nicest people in the yard that actually have action at doing business with everyone. Them and the natives. The natives will do business with a lot of people. Natives got all that money. They got that res money. They're good too. I'll be doing a video on them eventually. I've done one in the past, but I got something more to speak on, another story. So stay tapped in right here, man. Make sure you like, you subscribe. We do what we do. We ain't going nowhere. So can't no one push us up out of here. We started this gangster shit, and it's the motherfucking things we're going to get. This video is sponsored by Barrio Liquors, man. If you're ever in the Turlock area, go tap in, go show some support to the Barrio Liquors out there in Turlock, California. Tell Lali I said mines. Tell them Gun sent you and Dubs. Bang, bang.